Do, do, do. Let's try this again. Hello again. It was they had like a 4-hour window that they were gonna deliver, and I was like, of course they show up right when I go live. It was like perfect timing. How you doing, Jeremiah? How was your day yesterday? Give me 1 second. I will be right back. Okay. Played hooky from work. Too tired. We've been doing weeks of mandatory overtime, so I called out yesterday and slept. Heck yeah. Good. Good. Hey, Maureen. Happy hump day. So after my live, I get to put together a couch. That should be fun. Probably not. But we didn't want to pay for it to have them put it together. Like, can do it. We're already getting a couch. We took the day off yesterday too. We went to a lawnmower repair shop. Everything was fine. Just a bit of user error. Well, much rather it be that. Much rather it be that. Especially in this day and age where you like have to deal with people just don't want to have to spend to replace things at this point. Good morning again, Aaron. Good morning, Angel. Spent yesterday planting, and we'll be back at it again today. Nice. What are you planting? Just got an electric lawnmower last year. The repair guy was nice and took a look at it for free. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Let's go. You need more of that. Not charging $100 just to look at it. Too much of that going on. Cucumbers, bell peppers, tomatoes, zucchini, yellow squash, green onions, herbs. Nice. Hey, Linda. Yeah, sorry about you popping in right when I was gone. We had a delivery that I had to take, and instead of me being like a blank screen for like 10 minutes or more, I just stopped the stream and started up again. I should get people to give me a ballpark on a new battery for my tablet. Most are like, well, if you bring it in, yep. Your husband's 70th birthday yesterday? Hell yeah. Well, happy birthday. You guys do anything? Okay, this looks normal now. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, Laura. Surprise party tonight. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Hmm. Kelly. Hello, my friend. How are you doing? Doing pretty well, minus dealing with some D-bag business-wise. No! Hey, Minnie. Taking my stress out through painting my house walls today. Nice. How am I? I'm good. I'm good. Kind of glad I had yesterday off. Mostly. The last couple days have been rough for me mentally. There's a lot going on, obviously, in the world. Things, you know, every once in a while when it feels like things, like I'm doing all this work and things aren't growing, it hits hard. I know how Kia's doing. I mean, I haven't talked to her in a bit. She's still struggling from my last interaction with her. She's still struggling. But I'm doing a little better. There's a lot going on, by the way. If you don't have it on your calendar, please, Friday, 7:30 Eastern. 7:30 Eastern. We're doing a premiere, my first premiere on this channel. So I'm going to be in the chat, and Jasmine Thomas, who I interviewed, is going to be in the chat. It's going to be kind of this call to action, trying to get as many people there as possible. Make sure you have it on your calendar. I'm going to be putting out stuff today. We're both going to be putting out stuff today regarding trying to get you guys there. Friday, this Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then, in light of the whole Eric Swalwell thing, I'm gonna be I have 4 women who are running for office that I'm gonna do a panel with, talking about women in politics, women in leadership, things like that, their experiences, stuff like that. Sorry, Garbu. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of cool things going on. It's just hard when it feels slow and you're like looking at prices going up on everything and you're like, can I keep doing this? You know. Chatting out of Robin. Heck yeah. What's up, Silver? Good morning. I know you do, Kelly. I know you do. I appreciate you. I know. The joys of being a small business owner, right? Especially in my case, one that is so oversaturated. The amount of people that I'm interviewing that have their own podcasts as well is kind of hilarious. I mean, I appreciate them coming on to mine, but I just think it's hilarious how many have their own podcasts. Yeah. Yeah. Yup. It's being a small business owner in America right now is rough. Doesn't matter really what area you're in. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, when it gets this tight, people shop where they can afford, and unfortunately, small business owners usually cannot afford to don't do enough business to lower their prices to the same level as necessary. Morning, AJ. Going back to corporate to get money. Yeah. Yep. Morning, Rosa. But yeah, so I was able to relax some yesterday. Like, I wouldn't call it a relaxing day, but it was nice to be able to step away. Much more chill, and yes, it is. No worries, Kelly. Do what you got to do. I forgot to check what I saw that Trump tried to pretend that the peace was going to happen, peace negotiations like we're gonna be finalized in the next couple days, try and get stocks to go up again. Looks like it's working. Not massively, but it's definitely oh yeah. 100%. I'm just glad the Dow isn't at 50K. I don't want to hear that from people today. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Mostly because it's bullshit. Good morning, Eleanor. Thank you for the take 2. Good morning. Next person who tells me grocery prices are down, I'm going off on. Yeah. Seriously. Thank you, Eleanor. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a good interview. All of the interviews have been really good. Like that's the thing. Like some really just amazing people are running for office and it's awesome. I love it. We need to break the two-party system. I mean, I agree. There are a lot of things that we need to work on in order to break a two-party system, but yep. We need to get rid of the electoral college. Or have the popular vote compact get passed. That's the only way we're going to get rid of it. At least that's the only way we're going to chance getting rid of it. As long as the electoral college exists, we will not be able to get out of the two-party system. May not be these two parties, but it'll always be two parties. I agree, Jamie. I want ranked choice voting. That would get rid of it too. Morning, Lori. Term limits will help keep rotation fresher. True. What committees are you talking about? Good morning, OC. How are you doing? Happy Wednesday, guys. Guys, if you're one of the people over here, please start tapping. Also, like cognitive tests done regularly for Congress and the White House, too. Yep. Totally agree. Have you heard about all the fires? No, I haven't. Has the best IQ scores. Oh, yeah. Hey, Deb. I mean, I knew that one before. Have there been more since? Tesla office building in NOLA is currently on fire. No, I didn't hear that. So far, 10? Dang. That's insane. That's crazy. No, I haven't seen that. If voting works, how many votes do I have to do to you have to do? It's not just you. You've got like 200 million other people that have to vote as well. Georgia, Ohio, New Jersey, California. Why does MSM continue to treat him as relevant to anything? Well, unfortunately, because he still has the ability to destroy. Amazon employee lost their life. Others were told to let him lie there. Morning, Cat. He is completely incompetent. Yep. Hey, Dark Blue. Guys, if you're over here on TikTok, please tap that nose. It helps push this out to more people. If we can get to 10K before 10 minutes, it will push it out even more. I know it's a lot of tapping, but it really does help. Morning, Jenny. That Amazon story is wild. Yeah. Putting people's lives in danger to make a point isn't the way to go. Also true. Michigan was hit hard with last night with storms and 2 tornadoes. That's insane. That's crazy. That's just wild. This time of year, that feels really wild. An AI center CEO was it? Okay. You're right. I forgot to pee. Thank you. I was writing it fast. Thank you, KT. Trust me, spelling was never my strong suit. 2 town council member homes were targeted after they voted for a data center. Yeah. What's up, Ghost? What's funny, Timmy? NJ fire was not purposely set as a wildfire. Gotcha. Thank you. You mean JD Vance at TPUSA? That was hilarious. You see how small that crowd was? Dang. That was wild how small JD Vance's crowd was at his TPUSA event. People are reaching their breaking point. Yep. Yep. It was so small. I mean, all the TPUSA events have been small. Ghost, thank you so much. Andy had hecklers. Ambrosia. Drove to the beach, and I highly recommend it. There you go. Good morning, Jen. Nature in general helps. Yes. That is why I try and get out for a walk every day at minimum. Also allows me to think about stuff. And that's why I do those thoughts from a bench thing. Collecting that pay from Soros. I wish, man. Wouldn't that be nice? And I'm comparing to who? To everyone. To every other president in the history of this country. That's who I'm comparing it to. Am I old enough to vote? Oh, thank you, Jim. I have been old enough to vote for almost 30 years. But thank you. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a boyish charm, right, Carla? I know, Jamie. It's a compliment. I'll take it. Guys, for all the people on here, please tap that nose. Jim tried to insult but made it a compliment. Yep. Did you check your spam folder? Got it on February 30th? Yeah. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Those are the moolah makers? Just so you guys know, I know money's tight, so don't feel like you need to be a part of it. other than just being here and watching. You guys are helping more than you know, but I am planning a trip out to a couple different areas to meet with candidates that I've been interviewing in June. And I'm going to try and raise a little bit of money to make that possible. So keep an eye out. There'll be some things going on. Where are you going? I mean, some of it depends on how much I can raise, Ghost. At minimum, my plan is to go to like the Virginia, DC, New York area, because that is close by, and I have a lot of people that I've interviewed in that area. I would love to go West Coast, but thank you, Jen. Yeah, Alani is pretty freaking amazing. Definitely expensive out there. Yeah. No time working 60s. I don't even know what that means. Agree, get them out no matter what side. Yeah. They all should get out. Yep. Thank you, Alex. How are you doing? And how are you doing, beach golfer? What's the best way to support you so you get the most? So there should be Eleanor. Let me check. And gift goals. Yep. Like PayPal. I do PayPal. That's probably the easiest. What, Jeff? There's Venmo in the link tree. Yep. Joe was a joke. Not more of a joke than this president. Not more of a joke than this president. President literally lied to you in every. Yep, you can do that too as well, Kat. I think that thing is still tagged there. Why are they? I don't know, Rosa. Morning, Patty. The entire fighting the Pope nonsense is beyond unhinged. I mean, is it surprising? I'm like, Jesus, take the wheel. Yes. Yes. Yep. And what's funny is everyone thinks that I did not change anything, Kat. It's funny how everyone thinks that we're, and again, this is why you got to watch people like Mr. Global. According to him, we have all of these new tankers coming to the Gulf of Mexico, but it's like at most they could fill like a couple extra tankers. It's either a day or a week, I forget which it is. Like it's not, you can only get so much extra out. Trump is a doctor. He knows how to help more than the Pope. That's right, Rosa. He's a doctor. Trump wouldn't know how to take the wheel. Dr. Chaos. Yes. He is definitely a doctor of chaos. Hey, Eleanor. Have you seen, you know what's been the most funny about that entire situation with the image that he posted? Basically what's happened is now doctors across the country have been making videos dressed up in the same outfit that he that he had in that image and being like, off to my job as a doctor. This was so good. Right. He said it's a Red Cross uniform. Right. Hey, Zoe. Just imagine your doctor walking in like that. I know, right? Hey, Minnesota mom. The one guy that started washing his feet. Yes. It's so good. It will be this year's favorite. Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that. That would be hilarious if everyone dresses up as doctors but decides to dress up like that. Oh my gosh, Karen. I haven't lived under enough presidents to have any clue about good or bad. Is that so? How many presidents do you live under when you've been able to vote for 30 years already? Oh, Ramondo. Sounds like your little D energy is coming up, and just, you know, how does it feel to have such a small D? Reagan was also bad for the economy. Oh, sure. Absolutely was. 100%. Educated. Right. I'd trust Dr. Pepper, Dr. Kevorkian, Dr. Hoob. That's right. So am I waiting for nothing? Are you waiting for nothing? I don't know. Are you waiting for nothing? You requested up. Where did I say I was bringing people up? You thought you'd just come in here and request and I would just bring you up for the hell of it? You have the requests on. So? That's what that's for. Ah, okay. Well. Yep. Then I guess you're waiting for nothing. Hello, Panda. Trump lied about the DoorDash grandma. Yup. Yeah, that DoorDash grandma thing was wild. Especially when you're seeing people that are coming on, like going online and being like, yeah, I still got taxed on all that stuff. Like, you get taxed on tips. Oh my gosh. How was the Secret Service acting when this occurred? I don't know. Yeah, the whole transgender bathroom question. What the hell was that? I'm in Vegas and everyone here is waking up to that. Yup. I don't know what people were thinking. I really don't. Why they trusted this man is I don't get it. This is the thing that has been getting the, I mean, I understand that people are hear what they want to hear. But dang, people. What did I miss? Oh, everyone who's filing for their taxes and realizing that the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime and no tax on Social Security and all that stuff, like it all wasn't what he claimed it was. And now they're all like surprised and upset. And it's like, hello, we've been telling you this. We got a little bit more, but that is in terms of tax returns, but that's mostly because once this man came into office, the amount of income that I've been getting via social media plummeted. Partially because a lot of people are just, you know, their income has dropped so much. The form of love bombing, it's a con game. You can't hide what it is anymore. Just throwing out crumbs. Yep. Just wait till they figure out the Medicare cuts coming quickly will affect them. Yep. Give me all the videos of people mad about finding out. I mean, some of them said they didn't vote for it, but talked about the realities of their tax returns. But yes, watching the people that thought they were going to be getting money back, like a ton of extra money, and like realize that they're paying. It was like, dude, I'm not required to pay Social Security. What? That pick was his healthcare plan? Yes. That pick was his healthcare plan. You like green tea? Nice mission. Wait till they hear taxes go up more next year for the low income, right? While our healthcare goes up? Incompetent? Yes. Corrupt? Oh, yeah. You got a whopping $73 back. Nice. Kind of just want to make people cry today. What's up, Summer? Or go on a walk with you would be freaking nice. Give me like 19 hours. Our tax brackets are fudged up. Why is someone making under 100K paying 20% in taxes while billionaires pay next to nothing? Yep. Wait in line for my doctor appointment today. All I got was a wafer and some... Yes, Ghost. Yep. Yep. Loving the fact that Texas GOP is running scared of Tallarico. Dan Patrick literally said America cannot exist if it doesn't stay red. Dang. Jeez. Who's paying for another Middle Eastern war? I know. We are. Yay. Yay. Another war we cannot and will not win. We shouldn't have started any of the wars that we've started. Speaking from UK, do you think the midterms will be fixed? No, I think the GOP will do whatever they can to make it difficult for people to vote. But I don't think they'll be fixed. And again, you've heard a lot of people saying it. So if you look at, and Hungary is a great example of what can happen if people really like put their minds to it. So, you know, Orban was in power for 16 years. He controlled media. He controlled everything. He basically did everything humanly possible to stay in power and to make it impossible for him to lose. And yet he still lost. And he lost by so much that he conceded, like, before all the votes had been counted. And he controlled everything in a way that this administration wants to. We just need people to, again, it needs to be one of those things where it is so important to enough people that they are willing to get out and they're willing to go through the annoyance and the pain of doing it and understanding that it's not going to be fun, it's not going to be easy, because it's so important. What's up, Captain? Hopefully the world is resetting. I think you're seeing it slowly. I mean, I think some other countries still have some work to do to reset their areas, but a lot of countries are starting to reset. So it would not surprise me. I think it's going to be staggering, you know? I don't think you can rig an election. I think what you can do is make it really, you can do things in such a way. Was that the president? Maybe. In such a way that makes that kind of helps it lean your way. Hungary is a massive conduit for Russian money to the far right. Yep. Yep. Very true. Community people can come up if you want. I don't know how many people are here that normally come up, but if you want to, I'm hopeful. That was a big one. He was set up for victory and the people said, screw that. Yeah. Well, and what it shows is how important social media is, because Orban owned basically mainstream media of Hungary. The guy who won did almost everything via social media. Is there any difference, Darren? The new Hungarian president just declared war funding for Ukraine. Hell yeah. Caroline Levitt said photo was doctored. What if they told Trump to say that in Trump brain he heard, I'm a doctor? Oh yeah, Hungary was perfectly gerrymandered for him. Like, that's what I'm saying. And he lost like 2-1. That's what's crazy. Like, even with all that, he lost 2-1. See, he posted another. Did he? Thank you, Keith. He conceded in 3 hours. Yeah. Remember when little Marco handed him that note? Yep. 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 It's also interesting to me that people are believing him when he says that peace is going to happen in like a couple days. It's like, peace ain't happening in a couple days, dude. Unless you're going to give Iran everything that they want. Hungary making better decisions than the US. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. China ship got through blockade. Yep. It'll just be another 2 weeks. Yeah. Just 2 weeks, guys. Every district gerryman in Hungary, he lost by more than 2-1 and 3-1 in the popular vote. Yeah, it's crazy, Scott. It's absolutely nuts. It's wild. Us here in Europe want Vance to visit every election campaign. You know, I understand that. I understand that mentality. I think if I were anyone in Europe, I'd want Vance to come and visit too. Yeah. Yeah. Just hide your couches. Put it in Discord. Oh, yeah, I did see that. Might be playing his trump card. Yeah, he's really trying. He's really trying to just, I don't know what he's trying to do, man. But he's, wow. Vance is the harbinger of defeat. Yup. Only thing Vance has succeeded in doing when going abroad. What? Yeah, one less. Miller's wife was also quoting The Handmaid's Tale. Are we drilling more? No, we're not. Nope, there are actually less rigs than there used to be. Rig count has gone down in the country. Oh, Christians, vote for me once, never again. He's definitely ruining Christians. Yeah, it's like the people that say, people told me if I voted for Kamala that we'd have $4 gas and we'd be at war, we'd be in another war. And people are like, you're right, I did. I voted for Kamala and they're right. We have $4 gas and we're in another war. Dems filed 5 articles of impeachment against Hegda this morning. Good. Good. Good morning, Shawnee. Don't forget to keep Vance away from the couch. I don't know yet. I have to put it together, Shawnee. So it's just in there in a box right now. We weren't paying the money to have them put it together, so I get to do it. He was like, you're right. Yep. Man, I have to say you made a mistake. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I guess our biggest question and the thing that we struggle with is what Catfish Joe. I think the problem immunity is the reason people voted for him in the first place after everything that man has been his entire life. I think that's the thing that's hard for a lot of us. I do appreciate you saying you made a mistake. Trust me. Oh, no, he is not more competent than most. He is not more competent than anybody. My trash can is more competent than this president is. Why we get just 2? Because we have a thing called the Electoral College, Galleon. And unfortunately, the Electoral College makes it impossible for us to really have more than 2, just because of the way it was designed. It's just impossible. We've got to change our constitution, get rid of the Electoral College, and that will open up more. We probably need to change a lot about how we do government, but Electoral College is the biggest thing.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, in addition to the Electoral College, the states have a vested interest in keeping it to two parties, too. Look, the two parties control the election process in the United States, and for obvious and selfish reasons, they want to keep it limited to two parties. We do have third parties, but they very rarely get a lot of the vote. I think the best vote gotten was H. Ross Perot in recent times, and he got 18% of the vote and got 0 electoral votes. So it's a rigged system, folks. The two parties know what they're doing to split power between them.
Yep. Unfortunately, because of the way the Electoral College is set up, especially with it being so close, it makes it even less plausible. Because in the end, if any one person loses, like if no one hits that 270, right? What's the number in the Electoral College?
270.
270. If no one hits that mark, then the House decides who wins, and no one's going to be okay with that. I would not vote for I want a third party. I want a new party to be to be a part of our politics so bad. But especially when it comes to president, I would not vote third party for a presidential election because of that reason.
Now, what's interesting, when elections have gone to the House before in the United States, as you know. What's interesting about that is, let's say the Democrats take the House. Geez, that solves all our problems, right? If it goes to the election goes to the House in 2028, the Democrats win because they have the most people in the House, right? Wrong. The problem with it is that each state only gets one vote. That's right, folks. Wyoming gets the same one vote that California would get. There are only 50 votes in the House to choose president. And since there are more Republican states than Democrats, if it goes to the House, the Republicans are going to win.
And until we get rid of the Electoral College, there will always only be two parties. And ranked choice. If you do ranked choice, I could see a third party coming in there too.
Yeah, I agree with Vonda on that. If you have ranked choice voting, that at least opens the door to third parties, but you're also going to have to change a lot of laws at the state level. What did I say? I was quoting from the Constitution of the United States.
You didn't say anything. We've just got...
Okay, what's that mean? Do I have to go away or not?
No.
Okay. I was quoting from the Constitution. You're not allowed to do that anymore?
Hey, Vonda. I think I said that already, but hello again. Is it going?
Hey, guys.
Hey. But yeah, guys, also, we can always be more than happy to switch over to the two. It's way safer. No taxes on overtime was pretty nice. There are taxes on overtime.
Yeah, there's taxes on overtime. So I just wanted to share an idea that I had, and I've seen multiple different views on this, but have you seen the concept where it's like larger districts for the House, but you get multiple representatives from each district? So like in Georgia, where we have 15 representatives, I think it's something like that, we would cut it into 5 districts, and each district would get 3 representatives. So
yeah, I've heard that, but then you're going to end up with a House of what, about 1,200 members?
No, it would keep the same number of members. It would just end up being larger. So like the Savannah and South Georgia region would all be one district. They'd get 3 reps. It'd be sorted by population. Atlanta might get like 7 representatives because it's half the state.
And
Okay.
and
And
Josh, no, you don't get it back when you do your tax return. Again, it's not just an amount of money. My return was almost doubled due to overtime tax being given back to me. Okay, sure.
that's not how taxes work.
That's not how it works, but okay.
And at any rate, Josh, that's only for 3 years. That goes away in 3 years, along with the senior discount and
Taxes work because you're basically giving the government an interest-free loan. So if you're getting a return on your tax return every year, you basically just gave the government an interest-free loan for however much you get back on your taxes. It means that you paid in too much to the system throughout the year. It just means whoever put the taxes in at your company did it wrong. That's really all getting a tax return means.
As I was saying, Josh, that only lasts for 3 years. That sunsets along with the senior discount as well. So enjoy it while you've got it. And the same thing with tips. That all goes away. But Josh, you know what stays? You know what stays? The tax cuts for billionaires. That stays.
We and again, I want to point out for people on the oil thing. I hope you guys know that the more oil we ship out, the higher our prices are going to go. And it does not mean more money for America. The more oil we ship out, the higher our prices will go. Correct. Oil companies profit, not us. Yep. I think people have this thing in their head that American oil companies doing well mean job opportunities. Nope. Oil and gas has lost a ton of jobs this year, and they're not adding. Where's Kia? Kia is dealing with something that happened at home.
You know, you were talking about J.D. Vance before, and he's become almost comical.
Mm-hmm.
Who thought it would be a good idea to attack the Pope when 20% of the electorate is Catholic? Who thought that? And J.D. Vance has been Catholic for what, about 5 minutes? And he thought that was a good idea. And then he flies off to Hungary, followed up by his failed negotiations with Iran. And how'd that work out for him? You know, he tries to be so clever, and he just comes off as about the phoniest politician this side of Ron DeSantis. I mean, he just looks like a fraud every time he speaks.
So again, I want to point out, you are still getting taxed on your overtime. You're not getting all of it back even. You are still being taxed on your overtime. Them giving you a way of getting some of that money back does not mean you are not being taxed on your overtime. Here, Vance is, yeah, everyone in this administration is Dune.
You know what I don't get about it, Dune, is what possible political benefit do they see by that? I mean, what possible political benefit is the president releasing a meme of him as Jesus? What possible benefit does he see there? What voter does that appeal to?
I think the other,
It's really bizarre. I mean, you like to think that actions are at least being taken for a good reason, a bad reason, but at least they're being taken for some kind of reason. I can't even discern any reasoning with this administration with half of what they do. Well, three-quarters of what they do.
I think the funny thing with that whole situation as well was when Trump was asked about it, he said, yeah, I posted it. And then not long after it, Caroline Levitt came up and was like, he didn't post it. It's like, which is it?
Well, they can't get their stories straight, and it's we're in the middle of a war, which is about as important an issue as any nation could face. I'm not saying anything profound there, and we send J.D. Vance along with Steve Witkoff, who has succeeded in what exactly? I don't know. Along with Jared, where the hell was the Secretary of State? He was hanging out with the president at some UFC fight or something, I think. How does that make sense? Where were people from the Iran desk, the experts who actually speak Farsi and can understand what the Iranians are saying? But they weren't there.
It's his base. I have family that literally think Jesus put him where he is. Oh, I know. I've heard him.
Yeah, you're probably right, Gerba.
You think Minnesota's getting it? Party Switch 2012? That's a good one. Probably just going to pay our... It's just going to pay our interest. Minnesota pays more than it takes in. I don't think you guys don't seem to get this. States like Minnesota help support all of the other states because they don't bring in anything.
Galleon asked in chat, do you guys think that he's going to try and get us out of NATO? That's going to be very difficult for him because NATO's a treaty. And a treaty under our Constitution, which I guess I'm not supposed to talk about, is considered U.S. law. And also there is a law that was sponsored by who? Oh, that's right, Marco Rubio, which also makes it impossible for him to get us out of NATO without a congressional buy-in. So Trump unilaterally cannot remove us from NATO. But that doesn't mean there's certain things he can't do. He can shift troops out of NATO countries as in his role as commander-in-chief. He can make things difficult for NATO, but he can't unilaterally take us out of NATO.
Your idea of winning, Vinny, must be really messed up because I do not, literally nothing that this administration has done since the beginning could be considered winning for anybody except for the billionaires. Johnny asked a question on the other side. Mike and Scott, y'all see that Trump blockade is going to cause worldwide shortages in 2 weeks. It'll be catastrophic after a month. I really think this is because his tariffs got shot down. I think that this man is so self-absorbed that his only goal in life is to have his name on doing something that people thought couldn't be done. And
I think there's... I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
And he thinks that he can force this country to to do his bidding. And just because he's able to get, look what he did for, with his administration.
Yeah, and Shawnee, I agree with what Mike said. Also, you have to understand Donald Trump doesn't think outside of 30-second increments. He doesn't have any long-standing policy. He doesn't know how to create long-standing policy. He has attention deficit disorder, and he can only plan about 30 seconds ahead. So saying that Trump has a deep plan for something is giving him much more credit than he deserves. He operates on emotions. He operates on whim. He doesn't have any strategic plan for, frankly, anything. If he had a strategic plan for things, he wouldn't be having those Medicaid cuts, because that's going to destroy the Republican Party, since a disproportionate number of people on Medicaid are voted for Donald Trump.
Party switch. The only nation to ever ask for help from the rest of NATO is the United States. So saying that the rest are incapable of helping, then why was the United States the only one to ever ask for help in the 80 years that NATO has existed? And they all helped. Without question, they came and helped. And nobody funds NATO. You obviously don't know how NATO works.
NATO is a defensive alliance, not an offensive alliance. It's paid for by all of the nations in NATO, and they pay a percentage of GDP. And the United States is about in the middle of the pack with that. But because we have a larger economy, of course, we contribute more to NATO.
And
NATO has also been the most successful alliance in world history for over 77 years. It has kept the peace in Europe, which was exactly what it was designed to do. And there has been no major power conflict. Certainly there have been wars, but not on the European continent. So NATO has been an unalloyed success. And one thing to remember, we talked a couple weeks ago about the projection of power and how the United States has the most ability to project power. And part of it is indeed our aircraft carriers, but the majority of it is our foreign bases. We have 31 bases in Europe. If we leave NATO, we lose that forward projection power throughout the throughout the European continent, the Middle East, and the eastern part of the Eurasian continent. And that would cause unbelievable damage to our strategic position militarily.
And party switch, why would other countries of NATO help the US start a war when NATO is a defensive treaty, not an offensive one? And what do you mean no one funds? I mean, no one funds NATO. It's a treaty. It's not a country. People to be a part of this alliance, you agree to put funds into defense, but you're not paying for defense. Like you're not sending money to other countries to defend those countries in the way that you guys are thinking of. The US didn't start war when, what? That's dumb.
Yeah, NATO requires its members to spend a certain amount of GDP on defense. And as part and parcel of that, we work with our other NATO partners in saying, okay, well, you are very good at building Griffin fighters, Sweden. You're going to be handling that. You're good at providing frontline troops, Finland. You're going to be handling that. So, and we have universal tanks and artillery shells. So that they can have interchangeable parts, so that the Leopard tank from Germany can fire the same shells as the Abrams tank from the United States. So we do work together in that, and that is a force multiplier for the defense abilities of both the United States and our European NATO allies. That's a great force multiplier.
Philip, you understand how like space works? I'd be perfectly fine writing president if it didn't take up too much space. If me putting the word prez makes it so you wouldn't listen to me, you are never going to listen to me. That if that's all it takes. Looks like France is banning Kanye as well. Fine with that. And no, when was the last time NATO helped the US in a world conflict involving our troops? 9/11. The only time that Article 5 has ever been enacted by NATO.
The United States remains the only country that NATO has come to the aid of.
Literally the only time in 77 years that Article 5 has been enacted has been by the United States, and the rest of NATO came to help. So when you say, when's the last time? The only time has been at the request of the United States. No other nation has ever requested the help of the United States via NATO.
Dune, Desert Shield, and Desert Storm were, we had plenty of allies in that, but that was not a NATO operation.
Again, you guys don't seem to understand what NATO is. We attacked Iran. We went in and attacked Iraq. That's not a NATO action. NATO is not involved. NATO nations can be if the United States actually asks and they agree, but that has nothing to do with NATO. Iran and Israel's world conflict, it's not a world conflict between Iran and Israel. It's a them conflict.
Dune, the Korean War, was done by the United Nations. That was a UN action, not NATO.
And we aren't either of those countries, Party Switch. We shouldn't be involved in this at all.
The reality of the Korean War, of course, was that it was largely an American operation, but we went in President Truman went in under the auspices of the United Nations because Russia was boycotting the Security Council at that time, and they didn't have the ability to veto the action. So he went in through the United Nations.
I mean, you may be right, Ghost. That may be what he meant. I don't really care. We started it. NATO has without talking to any of our allies, we started it.
Well, Galleon 096, you're quite correct. And to quote a famous British wag, he said NATO was formed to keep the Russians out, the Americans in, and the Germans down, which was an important issue in the late 1940s.
I mean, again, I'm not sitting here saying Iran is great, but this administration in their first term tore up a nuclear agreement that was working.
Quite right, Mike. They tore up a nuclear agreement that was working. Now, is that your opinion or my opinion? No, that's the IAEA's opinion. That agreement had independent auditors on the ground monitoring Iran's nuclear capabilities and actions. And they said that Iran was not building a weapon. And they had access to any site they wanted to throughout Iran. Iran was living up to the agreement that was torn up for no reason whatsoever.
Kebu, I don't like the term common sense. That gives this assumption, I think, that what is considered common sense to me is also considered common sense to you. Now, we might agree on what is considered common sense, but that is not the case with everybody. So I struggle with those kind of statements. I hear what you're saying, but how would you feel if the cartels had access? Would you side with them or the US? That is a dumbass question. Candace, by the way, I need you to email me a picture so I can post your video. That's like saying, how would you feel if every nuclear weapon was being targeted at the United States at that moment? Would you side with those people or the US? Like, you are not asking that question in good faith. That's not a good faith question. That's not that is not a conversation continuing question. That is a question with an answer already in mind.
Look, it is quite fair to question American actions in beginning this war in Iran and still at the same time believe that the Iranian regime are a vicious bunch of murderous thugs, which they are. The issue is this the proper way to handle it?
Correct.
To launch an attack in the middle of negotiations.
And again, if you didn't like the nuclear treaty that was there, fine. Why do you have to rip it up to negotiate a new one? He didn't like start negotiations. He didn't do anything. He just said this sucks and got rid of it. That's some Japanese level. Yeah. Yeah, Connor.
That's exactly right, Connor. I can't think of a qualitative difference between what the United States did, 7 weeks ago, and what the Japanese did on December 7th, 1941. In both instances, they were involved in negotiations, and in both instances, they launched an attack anyway.
Correct, Jamie. Just because we don't agree with starting a war in Iran doesn't mean we support Iran. Yep. Yes. And again, the problem comes there's multiple problems. One, we have never won a war in the Middle East. Never. Because it has never worked. It has never worked. And it's not going to, especially the way they're doing it. The way they're trying to do it would never work. Literally would be impossible. They are literally countering their own statements every other second about what's going on and what has happened and what we've succeeded in and what we haven't. Like, supposedly things were destroyed, but now they were like 2 weeks away, so we had to do it. Like, there is...
Yeah, they have no right to blockade the Straits of Hormuz, so we're going to blockade the Straits of Hormuz. Oh, okay. No, the thing that bothers me about the war is we've yet to hear the president articulate what a clear vision of what our war aims are, what we want out of the war and what the end date is for the war. He hasn't articulated any clear vision at all. And in fact, as you just alluded to, Mike, the justifications for this war seem to change on an hourly basis and depending on who's doing the talking. Rubio is saying things that are different from Trump, that are different from Witkoff, that are certainly different from Pete Hegseth. So I don't know what our goals are in Iran. Zero uranium enrichment. Well, no uranium enrichment for 20 years. Well, maybe 5 years, but more than that. Whoa. What's different from zero forever and 20 years? Those are two different war aims. And we flip back and forth on what we're actually asking of the Iranians. And apparently they're a little bit confused too. They have no idea what the United States is asking for to end this war.
They used this tactic during the Iraq War. If you don't support the war, you must support the T's. If you don't support the war, you hate our troops. That's how 10-year-olds argue. Yep. Yes. Yes.
And we talked about this the day it started, Mike, which I believe was a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Two things that we spoke about that day are asymmetric warfare, meaning the blocking of the Straits of Hormuz. And secondly, beware of mission creep. Once you start a war, you cannot predict how it's going to end. And why is that? Because your opponent gets a vote. They get a vote. Once kinetic action begins, your opponent has a vote. So you have no idea where it's going to end or how it's going to end. And inevitably, there's mission creep. And I don't think that we're prepared to pay the price for mission creep because in order to win in Iran, and we would have to have hundreds of thousands of troops on the ground.
I'm not even
and
sure
we're not prepared to pay that price.
I'm not even sure we could with that, but
yeah, well, I saw General McCaffrey. He said 200,000 to 500,000 troops. Well, we're obviously not going to do that.
Right.
It would take months to build that kind of force up. We'd have to base them in the Middle East, and I don't think our Persian Gulf partners would allow us to. So, I don't know how that could even happen.
I just know every time war has happened over in the Middle East, whether it's been us or other countries, it's never succeeded the way they thought it would. So I personally have no faith that it would be possible either way. And there's just again, this also for me, and I completely hear what you're saying, Scott, in the sense of this administration isn't giving us any like plan, any, how we specifically know we've won, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. More than that, there is no actual purpose, like nothing. And I don't trust this administration in any way, shape, or form for a myriad of reasons, not least of which being that he's literally countering his own statements that he makes, months, weeks, days earlier. There is no reason for us to be in there, especially when we're supposed to be trying to spend less money.
Yeah, well, you just said that there is no purpose to the war. Well, and you're quite right. How could we possibly know what the purpose of the war is? The president hasn't articulated what the purpose of the war is.
Yep.
He talks about regime change and then says, well, then forgets about regime change. And then the next day says, well, we've already had regime change. Oh, we have? How's that? He literally has not articulated any vision for why the United States is in there. And somebody in chat, and I forget your name, I apologize. You made a very good point. At what point does he have to go to Congress? Well, according to the War Powers Act, he's got about 150 days before he has to go to Congress. So, and he's going to need funding for it. So he's going to have to go to Congress anyway. Because they're the ones who do the funding.
Do I think it's a cover? No, I don't think it's a cover. And I only say that because I don't think the iCountry covers for its motives ever. And there's starting to be pushback. I heard this morning that Italy has canceled a some sort of deal they had with the I country because of what they're doing in Lebanon, and it's one that's been in place for a long time. So there's starting to be some pretty big pushback. I mean, we'll see. And now he wants to go after Cuba. Yeah, I heard that he's asking for plans to invade Cuba now.
You know, what we had here is a Secretary of Defense, the same as Rumsfeld, who thought that we could win this war on the cheap by just using air power. Rumsfeld wanted to win it on the cheap by using air power and a few boots on the ground. And that's why we ended up having to have a surge, because a few boots on the ground doesn't do you any good. And Iran is 3 times the size of Iraq, with 3 times the population, and a very mountainous country, which makes it almost impossible to conquer. You would have to have an exorbitant amount of troops. And quite frankly, we don't have the troops to spare, so it would have to mean putting together a worldwide coalition to go in there and attack Iran, and you're not going to get that. You're not going to get any other nations to join us in that.
Any chance of him actually helping you? You mean the current president? No. Well, I mean, I guess it depends which U.S. citizens you're talking about. If you're talking about the billionaires, yeah, he's helping them a lot. The multi-millionaires, he's helping them a ton. The average American, hell no. The ones who need the help the most, no.
Yeah, Connor, this is that certainly crossed my mind too. Another Bay of Pigs. You know, and if people don't remember what the Bay of Pigs is, that was when Kennedy had a half-assed invasion of Cuba without American ground troops, and it was a fiasco.
If he activates the draft, what do you think long-term consequences for the GOP are? If he activates the draft, the long-term consequences will be there will be no GOP. That's my opinion.
It's my opinion too. And by the way, Cheryl, that would be Congress that would activate the draft, not the president cannot unilaterally activate the draft.
Seems the new generation is forgotten. I mean, the new generations, it's the old generations that have forgotten Vietnam. The new generations didn't know Vietnam to begin with. The only thing that a lot of the new generations know is Afghanistan. That won't stop him from trying. I don't think he is going to try. That is my personal opinion. I think he is going to talk. I don't think he is going to do it. Now, again, I know we've had this conversation before, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm just saying like, oh, it'll never happen. This administration, nothing would surprise me. I do not think he could. I do not.
Well, it would be very difficult to begin with. For starters, we only have 50,000 in theater, and 40,000 of those are in support services. Only 10,000 frontline troops, and 10,000 frontline troops couldn't do anything.
Kebu, I disagree with that statement. He hasn't done much of anything without Congress. The difference is what he has done that Congress normally would stop. What So we've said you said he's done it without Congress. He's done it with Congress. What Congress has chosen to do is not do anything. Congress could choose to do something, and that would have started, and that would have stopped a lot of what's going on. They've chosen to not do anything. And that is why he has been able to do some of the things that he has. Also understand that a lot of the things that he has tried to do, he hasn't been able to do. Now, a lot of the things we're interacting with a lot, obviously, are ones that he is seriously pushing the line and in some ways getting away with. But there's a lot of things that he has not gotten away with through the courts and other things like that. Said that approval not needed. Approval for what not needed? What did Pelosi, what do you think Pelosi said that approval was not needed for, Eddie? Air strikes. What does that have to do with anything that we're talking about?
Yeah, I believe we're referring to the draft right now, Eddie.
Yes, because of the War Powers Act, he's allowed to do things as commander-in-chief for a certain amount of time before it has to go to Congress. Congress technically still has the ability to stop it, whether or not he has the right to do it. That's the crazy thing that I think people don't get. Congress does have the ability to stop it, no matter what, because they are in charge of the funding. They can stop funding. Congress is useless right now. Correct. Congress has abdicated their responsibilities. And that's why I say, when people say Congress isn't doing anything, they are. What they are doing is not doing anything. What they are doing is not actively not doing their jobs. And by actively not doing their jobs, they are allowing him to do things that he would normally not be able to do.
Well, that's been the story of this entire administration. Congress has allowed itself to be neutered and seems to be just fine with that. It's not just the war, it's with everything else as well. And yes, Congress has a constitutional role in this that they have abdicated, which comes as a surprise to exactly nobody.
So why are we paying federal taxes? Because we are required by law to. It's part of being in society. And I'm choosing to try and never seen you smile. Well, you obviously haven't been here very long. Smile a lot, all the time. When I'm talking about something that's not worth smiling about, why would I be smiling? When I talk about things that are worth smiling about, or things happen that are worth smiling about, I smile. Not much going on right now that's worth smiling about. We're not benefiting, no health care, no job growth. Well, technically that's like we are benefiting. Are we benefiting enough? No. This administration, this current government is, in my opinion, using our funds, our tax monies, extremely poorly, and arguably have for a while. That's why I want to put in people that want to fix that. How we are benefiting. Do you drive on roads? Do you drive on highways? That's our tax money goes to that. Tax money goes to a lot of things. Most of them we don't think about. With plenty of potholes. Well, there are a lot of roads in this country. And again, I'm not saying that things are good right now. In no way have I ever said things are good right now. But to say that our, again, we have not, as a country, held our politicians accountable for the way they have done things. We have not been active in primaries to primary people who are in parties that we tend to agree with, at least somewhat. So incumbents have a 95%, win rate. So why would things change when we don't hold them accountable? The only way we have held them accountable, quote unquote, is in certain areas we've gone back and forth between Republican and Democrat. That's it. That is the only way, and that's not actually holding anybody accountable.
Ginger in chat brought up Hungary, and good thing to bring up, Ginger. That was a political earthquake there. It is simply amazing to me that holding all the reins of power, all the reins of media, that Viktor Orban lost by 2.5 to 1 in the parliamentary vote and by about 3 to 1 in the popular vote, which is as big a landslide as you could possibly imagine. And it just goes to show that even the most rigged election system cannot overwhelm the will of the people. And that is very good news for Europe. That is very good news, obviously, for Ukraine. That's very good news for the United States. And that's very bad news for MAGA.
Peter, yes, our healthcare system sucks. Yep. Yep. Did you see the guy dancing on stage after the big win in Hungary? I didn't. Buchanan was really bad. Yep. Not this bad.
Yeah, Buchanan's off the hook now. He's no longer the worst president in American history. He's very happy.
It's on Brute. I'll have to check it out. It's so. And the funny thing is everyone needs to be careful, because what you're going to see is a lot of people on this app, on all apps, telling you how you can make money even in this economy. And I watched one guy, I forget his name. I don't like him. Galloway. He was on a podcast, and he was talking about how, if you have, you know, if you're gonna invest $10,000, you should invest it in X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, these people are so out there and unconnected with reality. They don't realize that a vast majority of the country doesn't have $10,000 to invest. They don't have $1,000 to invest. They don't have $100 to invest. Most of the country is surviving on credit cards right now, on debt. The amount of debt happening in this country is wild, and it's only going to get worse. Hello, how are things in Norway? I have friends in Norway. Surviving is a generous description. I hear you. And I'm seeing that with a lot of different things. You're going to get a lot of people that don't have to actually worry about what's going on. They aren't the bottom 70%, and tell you how to fix that. They are not connected to reality. You should not be listening to them. It's like somebody who, you know, who grew up, you know, in the years before I was born, coming on here and saying, just work. It just means you're not working hard enough. Anyone who is actually connected understands that that's not how it works right now. It's not possible. First time yesterday, I had to call credit cards to get limit raised to pay surgeries. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be a lot of people's realities. There's also another Lego movie today. You know, I've been thinking about the idea of wealth and wealth taxes and all that stuff, because I think those are going to be a huge conversation pieces, you know, over the next 3 years, especially. And it's still interesting that how many people think that they're going to be one of those top 20%, 1% that have the kind of wealth that they're worried about losing. Not to mention medical back on credit reports. Yup. I saw that, Philip. Abigail Spanberger Monday signed into law a bill eliminating tax exemptions for multiple organizations connected to the Confederacy. The other thing she signed was to put to have Virginia be part of the popular vote compact. Your husband got an estimate for dentist $65K with no insurance. You've already lost your home and live in a camper now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, like the old woman working DoorDash to help pay her husband's cancer treatment. No tax on tips doesn't begin to balance the increase in insurance premiums. Not even close. Not even close.
If you are on the ACA, you are paying 120, an average of 125% more this year for your health insurance. And if you even have private insurance, you are paying 26% more year to year increase. And my source for that is the Kaiser Family Foundation. They're the ones who do all the healthcare estimates. So that wipes out any minuscule tax savings that the big, beautiful bill may have given you. And if you're one of the 1 in 3 Republicans who are on Medicaid, you're in for a big surprise about 2 weeks after this election.
Go to Istanbul for medical. I mean, most people can't afford to do that. You can't afford to get a passport, let alone a plane ticket to Turkey. It's still cheaper. Cheaper doesn't mean anything, especially when you're talking 65K. It could cost 20K. You still don't have the money. It could cost 10K and people still don't have the money. That's the problem. People don't have the money. People don't have 3K for a triple bypass. And that's just for the surgery. That's probably not for the amount of time you'll have to live there and be taken care of while recovering from a triple bypass.
And the missed work.
And the missed work and everything else. People don't have that kind of money. That's the problem. I hear what you're saying. The problem is that 50% of this country has no extra money. You're going to worst case. For many, they do. I've used it. Disagree. I don't think that you realize that worst case is most of the is a majority of the country's case right now. Most of the country does not have extra money at all. They don't have money to pay their rent, let alone go somewhere and do something. They don't have money for food. It's and again, it's no offense to you. I understand what you're saying and I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't think a lot of people realize how bad it is. It's like people coming in here and saying we should all start growing our own food. Well, when you consider how many millions of people rent apartments, that's not an option for them. So while I understand I work for nonprofit helping the homeless, well then I'm not sure how to respond to that. If you work for the homeless, then you should really then that what it makes me feel like is that your initial statement, I'm saying for some it's an option they're unaware of. I think less it's an option than you realize. Maybe that's the right statement.
I would wonder your opinion then on the Medicaid cuts, which help the indigent pay for health care, and what you think that's going to do to rural hospitals and urgent care centers. I just wonder your thoughts on that, Mom.
Not to mention, I wouldn't trust going to Turkey and coming back in right now. Not with this administration.
Yeah, Mim says in comment, the American dream shouldn't be on the verge of debt all the time while working a 60-hour work week. Well said. You're absolutely correct. And it makes, let's look at that in a macro sense. I mean, the American dream never really existed as a phrase until the post-World War II era, from about 1945 to about 1975. We had 30 years of unprecedented growth and wealth accumulation with the middle class. My question is just how big is the middle class anymore? You know, how big is that? Can they have the American dream? It used to be you could have a job working in a Ford factory, you could afford to buy a home, and you could afford, and that's one person working, and you could afford to send your child to college. Now, that doesn't exist anymore.
Mission. New American dream. Move. I wish there weren't so much truth in that statement. So, and this is something that I just want to say in general. So I think when in these kind of situations, like where we're here with a whole group, a whole bunch of people, when things are rough, I think I believe that there is a desire for people to help. And what we often do is we help in a way that worked for us, whatever that situation may be. And I think because of the way the current situation is in this country, we need to be careful in places such as this with what we say, because there are so many different situations in this group of people, and something that you say that could be with all of the good intentions humanly possible can be seen in a very different light, because there's no, we can't see you. There's no intonation in what you're saying. Sometimes people have come in here and said it so almost flippantly, like it's just easy if you just do this. We need to be careful. We need to be more careful in how we talk about these things. Like I said, it's the same idea in my mind as someone coming in and saying, just grow your own food. And having someone who is struggling to survive and lives in an apartment. How would you feel if you were in their situation and that's what you saw? So again, I understand the desire to help. We all have a desire to help, especially for the ones that stick around here. I think we just need to be more careful and understanding in how we talk about things, with the knowledge that there is a large group of people that won't have that capability. And there may be a better way to say it. I don't know. I just think we need to be careful. And yes, Mission, it's kind of sad that the new American dream is to move. That is very sad, actually. I mean, we can pointing out that you can get quality health care treatment in other countries for a lot cheaper. That's good. But saying it in response to someone who says that I can barely survive and I've got this, I've been given this bill or look like I'm being charged this, that feels like a privileged statement. Even if that may not have been your goal when you started typing. This is why I say a lot of what this conversation, a lot of what all this is us having to learn how to have conversations again. And to leave your extended family behind would be sad. Of course it would be. Especially if you actually have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, and Vonda points out in chat that Moody's gives it a 42% chance of having a recession before the end of this year, and I'm not surprised at that. We're seeing recessionary pressures already in the jobs reports, we're not creating new jobs in the United States right now. It's a flatlining. We had a good month last month, but nothing compared to the 2.23 million jobs that Biden created in his last year. And the International Monetary Fund said that inflation is going to tick up next year to 6% worldwide. And that is dangerous. If you don't know what a recession and inflation together mean, that's called stagflation. And we haven't had that in this country since the 1970s. And I'm old enough to remember that. And let me tell you something, that sucks. And that's right where we're headed now. Prices are going up and the economy is getting worse. So it's going to be difficult to get a job. Wages are not going to keep up with inflation. And it looks to me like we're risking stagflation, which is an economic disaster.
Yep. And again, I understand that there are people that want to help. I understand that there is a desire to help by a lot of these comments. We just need to understand that we are in a situation, not only in this country, but in this live, in this case, where we've got a lot of people with a lot of different experiences and situations. And because of that, we have to be careful how we state things. Because for a lot of people in this live, that probably a large chunk of the people in this live, the idea of going to Turkey for anything is not an option.
That is great, and Chad has a good comment. That is great said. I see more intergenerational homes in the future. So do I. I've been thinking a lot about that. And, there's certainly some pluses to that. But the problem with that is it's going to be not volitional. It's going to be out of necessity. And that carries its own problems and its own risk. And that's where I see it headed too. I agree with you totally.
Well, and the other problem you're getting with multi-generational homes is the homes weren't built to be multi-generational. They were built in the way that most of the country has been for a long time, where the kid grows up and moves out. And because of that, but you're still filling them with multiple generations. Problem with multi-generations will perpetuate more generational trauma. And yeah, I mean, that's a problem now too. There's a lot of families that cannot do that because of their family situation.
Sure. And that's one of the great fears of Gen Z. That's one of the reasons that they are so agitated right now. And it's hard to blame them. They're they're 22, 23 years old, and they're still in their parents' basement, and they're saying, I'm never going to be able to afford a home.
And yes, we're doing multi-generational in a generation home layout. Yep. I have no issue with the multi-generational home. I honestly love the idea in general. But I would not want my multi-generational home to be set up the way a normal home is set up, because I would want my kids to have their own space and their own privacy, kind of a thing. Single family homes are not designed for that. Multi-generational homes were. I've seen houses that aren't much bigger than our current house that have had 3 like different like family groups stuck into it. I'm just like, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. Currently live in a 320 square foot, and there's 3 of us with 1 bathroom laughing. My 13-year-old grandson takes up his tiny bedroom in the living room. Yeah. Yeah. Retired professional working part-time and injured, lost job, and now selling my home. That is an unfortunate reality of I think what we're going to see in a lot of places. I mean, I love the idea of a tiny home personally, like multiple almost tiny homes with a shared space. There's a place that we go up in the mountains where all the cabins are basically the equivalent of tiny homes. I love it. I love it. Like, I don't need bedrooms the size of the way a lot of bedrooms are. Always thought it was wild how much space they put into things that I don't want. Tiny homes where every home is a bathroom? Nah. Tiny homes are great. I honestly really did like we went there and we were there for a couple days and we're like, man, I would not mind. Like, I would want my kitchen to be a little bit bigger, but because I love to cook. But I don't need a lot of space. But again, this is what happens when housing becomes a commodity. This is what happens when housing becomes a commodity. In my opinion, housing as a whole went downhill once houses became a commodity instead of a place to live. That is what started the downhill trend that we are in.
Yeah, Connor, McMansions, and builders build them for a reason. They make a higher profit margin off those. And the result is that young people cannot afford, at least in my area, and I live in New Jersey, young people can't afford a starter home anymore. A starter home is not a starter price, that's for sure. It's extraordinarily expensive to buy anything in my state.
Companies should not be allowed. I don't think companies or people should be allowed I mean, there are people, I know people that own tons of homes. And they got them when the mortgage rate was like 2%. And now they're renting them out. It's not just corporations. It's also people. Have a home, maybe a second home. And that's it. But there are lots of people that own many homes, not corporations, people. And then they rent them through rental agencies. And again, everything has become a commodity. That's the problem. I know someone that rents cheap, fixes up, then rents to someone else for more. Yeah. But everything is a commodity now, and that's the problem. Things aren't rights anymore. Like, things that should be given to us because we're part of a society, because we're human beings, are now commodities that people have to make profit on. And as long as everything is about making profit, we are going to keep dealing with what we're dealing with. Everything does not need to be about making profit. And hi, Dynasty. My house is paid for. I have a company wanting to buy my, I have a company wanting to buy my property every other day. I get texts, I get emails, I get friggin' things in the mail. All right, guys, it is 12 o'clock, so I need to get off. Please. So a couple things that I want to make sure that we all go away with. Friday, 7:30 Eastern time. We're doing a special premiere over on the Tube of You. I interviewed someone who's running for Senate in Oklahoma. Again, I actually interviewed her already, but this is a different interview. This is talking about some stuff that are going on long term that we have to pay attention to, and we talk about stuff that we can do to help in this environment of people that want real change. So please, if you're not following over there, please follow over there, and please put that on your calendar. I'm going to be in chat talking. Jasmine, who's the person running, is going to be in chat talking. We're all going to kind of watch it together. That's what a premiere does. So please put that on your calendar. I'll put it in Discord too, and there'll be things coming up about it. But also, please just watch the videos of the people that are running for office. I've interviewed over 100 people that are running for office that want the kind of change that we're talking about that needs to happen. They need visibility and name recognition to make that possible. So please go watch, especially the ones for the May primaries. There's a playlist that's over there that's just for people that are running in May primaries. Please go watch those and share them, even with people that don't live in your state, in that state. The best way to increase the chance that they are going to be seen is by a lot of people watching the videos. So please watch them. It makes it possible for me to keep doing what I'm doing. And yeah. Can I say something real quick? Sure, Zoe.
Hi, Mike. Hi,
Hi.
chat. This is my first time up here, so I'll try to be really quick and concise. But I just noticed something in the chat that I just wanted to speak on really quickly. And I am so sorry if anybody is offended, but I just have to say this and say it in a real way. The Struggle Olympics is one of the reasons why we are in this mess. And I see it in the chat right now where we're talking about, oh, I can't afford this, I can't afford that. And then it's like, then someone else comes back and says, well, I don't have this, or I don't have, like, almost like you're trying to one up the other person. And we are all struggling right now. And as I said, this is the reason why we are in this mess, because you see one person doing a little bit better than you, and it's a person that you don't think should be doing better than you because you feel like it's your country. And then it fuels all the isms, whether that's you saying whether that's a man seeing a woman doing better than them, whether there is a white person seeing a person of color doing better than them, and then it fuels something that says, wait a minute, this person is not supposed to be doing better than me. And then we come up, like I said, with all of these isms, and these isms are destroying our country. Now, I just want to say that, please, guys, this is not a struggle Olympics. We are all struggling. And if we don't come together, I don't know what's going to happen to us. There is enough room at the table for us all. Now, we may have to do something different. We may have to, and that might look different for everyone. And now, please don't think I'm talking to just one race or one person here, because we can all be guilty of this. Whether, like I said, whether it's men thinking about women, whether it's Black people thinking about Hispanic people, whether it's Americans thinking about newer immigrants, we all have to dig deeper and come up with our empathy and compassion for each other, because we are crushing this country with our isms. That's all I have to say, Mike.
Yep. I appreciate that. And again, the one thing to remember for all of us is we're all learning. We're all struggling. We're all dealing with our own experiences and our own history and our own everything. And we're coming together and we're having a conversation that, in sometimes, especially if you're not someone who's coming up here and talking, no, we are not all struggling. Okay. Anyways, and because of that, it becomes really easy for all of us at times to it can. This is why I just say we need to always be careful what and how we're saying things, because you never know how something can be perceived. So again, we're all in this together. We need to learn how to have these kind of hard conversations again. So I appreciate you coming and saying it. Guys, thanks for the 52K likes, by the way. Heck yeah. And again, this is not, when we say these kind of things, we need to be careful about getting defensive. We need to remember that we are all on the same team. We all agree on the same, again, it goes back to we are all in the same fundamentals. Sometimes we will talk from our experience. Just because it's that person's experience or my experience doesn't mean it's going to be your experience. That doesn't mean you don't need to react a certain way. There's a lot of things that come along with this, and we just have to learn how to talk again. So retired at 50 in 2019 doesn't get any better. Okay. Well, thanks for being here. Go enjoy being retired with Mr. 1 follower and 2 following. Anyways, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow morning, and we'll see what the heck is going on in the world at that point. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the gifts. I appreciate you all very much. And yeah, you guys are amazing just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Just do something that makes you happy. Go out, get in the sunlight, touch some grass. Bye, guys.